Valentine wouldn't back down. Sometimes what you get past the censors is less about tricking them and more about fighting them. Because Blue Valentine contains a sultry scene in which Ryan Gosling's character goes down on Michelle Williams's character, the MPAA wanted to slap it with an NC-17 unless the producers cut it. However, the filmmakers refused. They hadn't filmed an alternate version of the scene, nor did they particularly want to do so. Instead, they filed an appeal. On second viewing, the MPAA decided the scene was graphic rather than explicit, and handed the film the desired R rating. Technically, The Last House on the Left is unrated. As Craven knew he couldn't get The Last House on the Left through the censors at the MPAA, so after the first attempt, he figured he might as well just not try. When the board requested he cut the film down to just 60 minutes because of all the graphic torture and rape scenes, Craven didn't make the changes. There are conflicting reports about what happened. Some say producer Sean Cunningham simply added an R rating to the film himself to make it past the board. Others claim Craven cut the offending footage. Resubmitted, was rejected again, resubmitted with the cut footage, and was finally approved. Regardless of what really happened, this is the end intentionally padded the film with excess raunchiness to get an R rating. Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg are known for their raunchy comedies, and This Is the End is no exception. However, unlike many films, it was actually originally made raunchier in the hopes that it would allow them to achieve the desired R rating rather than the adults-only NC-17. In other words, extra vulgarity was added for the sole purpose of being removed to make the intended version seem tame by comparison. Some of those scenes included graphic nudity such as an impressively well-endowed demon, which were intended to be trimmed if, and when the MPAA slapped the flick with the dreaded NC-17. Except it didn't. The film was granted R from the beginning, which meant all the extra padding, two-message demon included, stuck around for the final film. Gone with the Wind got the Hays Code rewritten. While swearing might sometimes be a superfluous thing, other times it has real purpose. And in the case of Gone with the Wind, the damn in the famous I don't give a damn line was a very purposeful addition. With the film's enormous budget and Hollywood clout, the filmmakers held major sway over the Hays office, which still didn't want to allow the vulgarity because it went against the official code. If Gone with the Wind were allowed to cuss, everybody would want to do it. To keep the line and prevent every film ever from challenging its ruling, the Hays office actually changed the rule about cursing to say that it was acceptable only if it was quoted from history or literature or if it wasn't meant to be offensive. South Park got dirtier thanks to censors. South Park, bigger, longer, and uncut, is a curious case of censorship. When the MPAA told creators Matt Stone and Trey Parker to cut out some of the dirtier bits, such as a sex scene involving animals and Cartman's mother, they retaliated by adding something they thought was worse, replacing animal-human relationships with Cartman's mother eating feces. Almost universally, the MPAA accepted the changes. Even weirder, the original title of the film South Park, All Hell Breaks Loose, was rejected for containing the word hell, but the new, and ultimately final title, which is a not even veiled at all locker room joke, was apparently fine. Desensitization or Exhaustion kept the Carnage in Taxi Driver intact. Taxi Driver is known for being an incredibly violent movie. It wouldn't be a surprise to hear that it was originally more violent until the MPAA got its hands on it, but in fact, Taxi Driver is exactly the movie the filmmakers set out to make. How persistent. Every time the MPAA requested a change to the film to make it suit the R rating, the filmmakers sent it back the same as it was, with the exception of desaturating some of the blood, namely in the climactic bloodbath. Even more surprising, the MPAA actually congratulated the filmmakers on the changes they were making, earning the film the R rating its makers desired without compromising on anything but the brightness of some blood. An attempt to slip by literary censors for the Maltese Falcon also worked on the film. Film noir came about because of Hollywood censors. The genre wouldn't exist at all if it weren't for restrictions on showing crime, violence, and sexual content in movies through the 1960s. But the Maltese Falcon is a particularly interesting example, because both the writer of the original novel, Dashiell Hammett, and screenwriter John Huston both slipped a reference to one of the characters in the story being gay by their censors. Because the word gun, so archaic slang for a submissive gay man, contains the word gun, the MPAA assumed it was referring to the character's role as a gun-toting henchman. The trick worked twice, both for Hammett against his editor in the original, and against the MPPDA, the MPAA original name, and the Hays Code for Huston. Black and white is more than a stylistic choice in Kill Bill. Quentin Tarantino is known for his style as much as anything else. The Kill Bill franchise alone cribs aesthetic beats from martial arts films and anime, so it was no surprise to see there was also some black and white footage thrown into the mix, likely as an homage to older martial arts films. While much of Tarantino's work is homage, there was actually more to the inclusion of the black and white scenes, namely, that they were an easy way to include some of the film's most violent scenes without censorship. Tarantino changed certain scenes to black and white after they were filmed so that the gratuitous blood wasn't quite so visible, while keeping the scenes themselves otherwise intact. It worked, and the MPAA allowed Kill Bill to be released with an R rating. The Fonzs leather jacket came with a strange price tag in Happy Days. Just thinking of the fonts from Happy Days likely summons up an image of a plain white t-shirt and leather jacket. That leather jacket, however, made for some interesting scenes. In the early days of the show, the studio was concerned that his leather jacket made him look like a crook, and demanded that he only wear it when he was near his motorcycle. Sure, said the showrunners. They certainly committed. The Fonz was never without his motorcycle, even when it didn't make sense. Outdoors, indoors, it didn't matter. His motorcycle was always there. The character's popularity eventually made the studio drop the rule, but the weird scenes remain. TV's first interracial kiss was almost censored from Star Trek. Star Trek is famous for breaking early boundaries in television. One of the most notable was that it was the first TV show to feature a kiss between two people of different races. Captain Kirk William Shatner and Uhura Nichelle Nichols were supposed to kiss during a scene in which the characters were mind-controlled. The network, circa 1968, was nervous about two characters of different races sharing a kiss. Originally, to pacify Southern affiliates of the channel, the producers were going to shoot an extra scene in which the two didn't kiss. But that effort didn't go as planned, as Shatner kept deliberately screwing up the take by looking into the camera, making faces, and crossing his eyes. After so many flubbed takes, the network just ran the scene as planned. legendary Fight Club line is the result of attempted censorship. There are a lot of memorable moments in David Fincher's Fight Club. The sex scene between Marla and Tyler is one of the most memorable, not only for its strange visual approach, but perhaps primarily because of Marla's infamous post-coital deadpan, "I haven't been F***ed like that since grade school." While that line is eyebrow-raising in and of itself, it was put in the film to appease producer Laura Ziskin, who didn't approve of the original line, "I want to have your abortion." Fincher agreed to change the line with the condition that whatever he changed it to would be the final version, without Ziskin's oversight. She agreed, claiming nothing could be worse than that, only to find that Fincher's substitution was indeed worse. Though she begged him to change it back, Fincher, as per their arrangement, left it in the film.
Hey guys, thank you so much for the support and likes and comments down below, and also thank you so much for watching, and I look